We are diving headfirst into a world that is just completely ripped apart by this sudden, violent return of ancient magic. And you should forget everything you think you know about, slumbering gods, because our source material today is this incredible, extensive analysis of Evie Marceau's novel, Cold Star's Midnight Glow.
And it shows us that this divine slumber, it's a lot more intimate.
And a lot more terrifying.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, this deep dive is so essential because we're not just talking about big battles. We're tracking the radical, almost existential transformation of one woman, Queen Sabine Darrow.
Who finds out she is the mortal vessel for a goddess.
Exactly. For immortal Selene, the fey goddess of nature. And the sources, they give us this truly intimate, almost physiological look at the chaos that's unleashed.
It's not just political, is it, in the kingdom of Astagnan?
No, not at all. It's internal.
Yeah.
Sabine is fighting this desperate battle inside herself to reconcile this deep, grounding human love she has with this monumental, elemental, immortal destiny.
So I think our mission here is pretty clear. We need to understand the shocking, true nature of how the Fae return. The political powder keg, it just ignites in Astagnan, and the extreme, honestly frightening lengths Sabine has to go to master this new volatile power.
And she's doing it all while trying to protect her partner, King Baston, and everyone she loves from. Well, from everyone. From mortals who hate her and from the gods who are trying to claim her.
Okay, so to really set the stage for you, we've got to establish the core players and concepts right away.
Right.
So our focus is centered on Sabine Darrow, who awakens as immortal Selene, the goddess of nature, known in all the old stories as the Wilder Woman.
And her anchor, the person who is absolutely indispensable to her, is Baston. He's the mortal king, but he also becomes her acolyte.
And they're up against the ancient immortal court, the 10 Fae gods.
People like Vale the warrior, who's the king of the Fae, Ira the maiden, the goddess of virtue, and the one who is just so unsettling.
Oh yeah, Woodix the Ender, the god of death.
Exactly. And there are two concepts you have to grasp to understand anything that happens next.
Go on.
First is Fae. That's the raw magical energy of the Fae. It's tied to their emotions, to the elements. It's pure power.
And second, and this is maybe the most crucial part, the gloaming.
The gloaming. It's this brutal, power-draining period of just intense instability and an insatiable hunger that every single awakening Fae goes through.
It's like a spiritual, psychological, and literal fever of divinity.
And it threatens to consume not just the host body, but the entire world around them.
Okay, so let's start with that pantheon itself, the ancient immortal court. It's a really formidable lineup.
It is. It's 10 gods, and each one represents a pretty crucial domain. You've got Vale the warrior, he's the king. You've got Ira the maiden, who is the goddess of virtue.
Artane the archer, god of the hunt. Our own Selene the Wilder Woman, goddess of nature. And of course, Woodix the Ender, the god of death.
But it's more complex than just that, right? The lineup is, it's broader.
It is. The court is rounded out by Poplin the trickster. You have Merrick the Punisher, who is the god of order, which is fascinating. Samor the Sunbringer, god of day. Thracia the Stargazer, goddess of night. And Alysantha the Lover, the goddess of sex.
And that diversity is so important. It tells you immediately that Fae power is not monolithic. It's not just one thing.
It implies a whole history of, what, conflict?
Alliances. Exactly. I mean, think about it. How does a god of order, Merrick, reconcile his domain with the chaotic needs of the god of sex, Alysantha?
Right.
The scope of their combined power is meant to be absolute. It reflects every single facet of existence. So when these 10 powers come back,
the world is just fundamentally disrupted. There's no other way for it to go.
No.
Okay, let's unpack the core mystery then. The thing that really drives this whole narrative, the true meaning of the Fae's return.
For generations, all the mortal scribes and priests, they relied on this one phrase from the ancient texts, slumbering in Octorn.
And they thought it meant the Fae were slumbered underground.
Right. Resting in tombs deep beneath the earth, waiting for some kind of astral alignment between their cycles of return. It was comforting for mortals, the idea of sleeping gods in crypts.
But the real translation, which Baston and his allies uncover, is so much more chilling.
It's chilling because it makes the whole divine conflict intensely personal.
The correct translation is
slumbered under skin.
Wow.
The Fae souls, they don't rest in crypts. They reside within God-kissed human bloodlines. They lie hidden inside regular people for generations.
Until something triggers an awakening.
Usually something catastrophic. And when we realize that the ancient god of nature isn't buried in a mountain, but is, living as your neighbor or...
wife.
or your wife.
Yeah.
The stakes just change completely.
And the sources are clear that King Vale, as the King of Fae, is always the first one to awaken in any return.
And his mission is then to search for the other 9 gods one by one among these god-kissed people and trigger them, wake them up.
Which is the horrifying premise of this third return that they're now living through in Astagnan.
And Sabine's awakening. It was anything but controlled or gentle.
No, it was triggered by her own near-fatal injury, her own death, basically.
And the sources describe how she just erupts in this blinding, cold, seismic light that immediately manifests these massive, uncontrollable powers.
This wasn't a gentle introduction to divinity.
No, it was a traumatic, violent, instantaneous birth. We get this vivid passage describing the raw Fae energy being unleashed.
We're talking birds flocking to her command from the distant Valen forests.
Roots tearing out of shattered stone floors.
Water blasting uncontrollably from the Ramvik River.
And localized earthquakes shaking the very foundations of the old stone tower where she was lying. It's just raw, untamed elemental power. It's the moment Selene the Wilder Woman is born again.
And it's the sheer scale and the immediacy of it that's so staggering. Right after, in the Aurora Tower, Vale confirms it. He says, "You are immortal Selene, the goddess of nature."
But the key insight, I think, is what she does with that power. Her very first instinctive act is defensive.
She uses this terrifying new divinity to protect Baston, her mortal partner.
From Vale, her own divine father.
Yeah, that confrontation, the Garden of 10 Gods incident, is just... it's monumental.
She twists her fingers and these massive iron-hard roots burst from the stone floor, weaving into Vale's enchanted armor, dragging him to his knees.
And at the same time, the river water from the Ramvik rises around him, trapping him. She sends a dozen hawks, talons like razors, swooping for his eyes.
She even splinters a 3,000-year-old table with a crash of thunder, just as an emotional outlet.
She's fighting her own father and 5 other Fae gods all at once, purely out of protective rage for a mortal. It's the ultimate statement of her divided loyalty.
And this brings us right to the gloaming.
Right.
Vale explains that this whole process, it drains an awakening Fae of their spent Fae, and that causes intense instability and an insatiable hunger.
So it's not a slow transition, it's a severe, volatile fever where their very essence is just burning off.
Exactly. And the physiological toll is described in brutal detail. After that fight in the Aurora Tower, Sabine is just collapsing.
Her human blood is gone. It's replaced by this silver liquid, described as quicksilver, and she's shivering violently.
And Vale warns Baston. He says if she doesn't replenish her spent power quickly, she'll spiral further out of control until her earthquakes bring the entire kingdom to the ground.
Wow.
The hunger that defines the gloaming, it manifests both magically and physically.
So you have the initial destructive rage, raising the river, binding Vale, but then there's the physical crash.
She tears into oat rolls. She guzzles an entire bottle of thick wine straight from the source. But the physical food, it barely touches the void inside her.
The deeper craving, the Fae craving, is profound. The text compares it to wanting blood, sex, and truth. Literally.
It's a hunger for life, for connection, for absolute, immediate reality.
And what's interesting is how this is contrasted with Selene's past. Vale specifically says that Selene has always been an outlier among us.
She resisted her divine identity in the beginning and in the first and second returns.
So this time, resisting means fighting the gloaming, but Baston realizes she has to lean into it to survive. Otherwise, she'll just burn out completely.
And the gloaming requires replenishment. The sources detail 2 primary, temporary ways this happens. The first is through offerings.
Her few remaining priests, they cart in these overflowing baskets of honey cakes, carved rosewood beads, spiced wine.
And just touching these things, the distilled devotion of her followers, it eases the chaos inside her, which confirms that the Fae still feed on worship and belief.
But the second and far more critical way is through physical connection with Baston.
The sources are very explicit here. The encounter is described as frantic and primal. When she lunges at him, there's no tenderness here, only hunger.
It's an act of desperation, not romance. Baston even notes that the sharp scent of her need is like a drug to my groin. It's a dynamic of immediate, intense, mutual consumption.
But what's fascinating is the mechanics of this exchange and how Baston anchors her. When he forces her to pause, he leads the kiss. He consciously slows the pace, and her quicksilver heartbeat slows to normal.
He sees the 2 souls in her at once.
Goddess and girl.
Exactly. And he realizes that while he mourns the simple mortal life they could have had, His job now is to defend both sides of her identity. His devotion is a literal form of sustenance.
His conscious control is what tethers her to her humanity. He knows that if he just blindly submits to the frenzy, it might stoke the darker Fey tendencies, the ones that crave absolute, unquestioned power.
You see the physical manifestation of that danger when a vine just spontaneously wraps around his ankle like a warning. Move and bleed.
Wow.
The power is fierce, it's possessive, and it's operating independently of Sabine's conscious human will.
So this intense intimacy is the only thing stopping the Gloaming from turning her power outward into just devastating world-ending chaos.
The gloaming isn't just a plot device. It's a high-stakes cosmological mechanism. It forces Sabine to choose what she feeds on.
Uncontrolled, destructive fury.
Or the focused devotion and love of Bastin. The fact that the latter actually works is the first sign that this Celine is going to be fundamentally different from her past selves.
So as Sabine starts to recover from that initial surge of the Gloaming, the internal conflict, it just deepens. It becomes a real battle for her soul.
Yeah, she's seen the Fae Court's arrogance, their brutality, and she sees them as monstrous.
Her first conscious cry is, I don't want to be like them. She wishes away the silver in my blood. It's a profound rejection of her own divinity.
And this resistance, it defines all her early actions. She insists on being called by her human name, Sabine.
And she uses a human glamour, which is this constant energy-draining spell, to keep her pointed Fey features and those blazing silver eyes hidden.
It only slips when she's excited or exhausted or really, really furious.
Our constant overwhelming fear is that she's going to lose control and become the destroyer she sees in the rest of the Fae Court.
She's constantly visualizing the worst possible outcomes. Accidentally burning the world or drowning people like at the convent.
Or that horrifying unintentional sacrifice of the rabbit.
Oh, that rabbit incident is just, it illustrates the danger so perfectly.
She is trying a small, controlled act of power, summoning moss for a bed, fire for warmth, and she's whispering to nature to sense my need, come to my call.
And a small sapling falls to offer wood. It's a successful, controlled output.
But then, a small rabbit, hearing the call of a starving goddess of nature, runs directly into the fire. It sacrifices itself instantly.
And she just sobs in absolute horror. She realizes her unbridled need, even when it's unintentional. It demands death and sacrifice from the world around her.
So she turns to Bastin and asks this terrifying question. What if I shiver in my sleep tonight and the entire forest sets itself on fire to warm me?
It's not just anxiety, it's recognizing the horrific, unintended consequences that are inherent in wielding elemental godhood.
Her power is too eager to please her, too willing to destroy for her comfort. She needs control, and she needs it fast.
And this is exactly where Woodix the Ender, the god of death, enters the scene.
As a complex and very dangerous mentor.
It's such a cynical move by the narrative, right? The god of death is maybe the most unsettling teacher imaginable for the goddess of life.
Bastin is immediately furious. He's so suspicious.
Yeah.
He gives Woodix that chilling threat we saw earlier.
I swear by gods greater than you that I'll hollow out your skull and use it as a piss bucket.
Yeah, if Woodix tries to hurt her.
But Woodix is incredibly subtle. He doesn't approach her with threats. He comes in with this calm, insightful expertise.
He provides what seems like invaluable tutelage in Fey history and power control. He speaks to her intellect and to her desperate need for competence.
The sources even note he gets Sabine to laugh at one point.
Which Bastin finds so odd, given Woodix's dry, dull sense of humor. Bastin just watches helplessly as Sabine's initial suspicion turns to curiosity.
He laments, she makes excuses for them, says that Woodix has shown her amazing sides to their powers that could help people.
Woodix's philosophical teaching is what truly hooks her. He challenges this idea of static divinity. He argues that Fae aren't the same in every return. Their bodies, their temperaments, their relationships, they all change based on the mortal life they just inhabited.
And his key insight is validation. He tells her, you are her, but you are also you, Sabine Darrow.
You get to choose who Celine will be this time.
Which is exactly the validation her human heart craves. The validation that her identity as Sabine matters, not just the power of Celine.
And it sounds almost benevolent, which is the genius of the deception. He's empowering her, but he's also subtly isolating her from Bastin's advice.
And his practical training, it bypasses all the dry theory and just focuses on immediate connection.
He puts his hand over hers, a shocking intimacy, considering Bastin's threats. And he guides her hand to the earth to plant a simple rice seed.
He tells her that Celine in past returns listen to the earth. She didn't try to command it.
By connecting directly to the soil, she learns to call plants, control the elements. She achieves these controlled acts, like summoning dense protective moss beds and controlled fire that obeys her will.
And it unlocks the power inside her. It ignites her fey lines like silver constellations tracing across her skin, which signifies total focus.
But this successful controlled display immediately triggers a deep vision, a memory. The memory of Calisarun.
She sees a mural showing Selim towering like an ancient oak, arms outstretched, destroying the entire city of Calisarun.
With thorny, razor-sharp lines, opening massive rifts in the earth, commanding flocks of starlions to drop poison dust onto the people below.
Her face in the mural is just unforgiving. And Baston had stumbled across this horrific mural hidden under layers of lampblack in the basement of Drhallen Hall.
But right after that destructive vision, she has an offsetting dream or memory.
She sees herself healing a broken world, clearing black smoke, making the Ramvik River flow clear again, restoring life during a brutal winter famine. She believes she saved thousands of lives.
And this duality, the destroyer of Calisarun versus the selfless healer, it defines her internal conflict and reinforces her struggle. She has the power to do both.
The choice of who Celine will be hinges entirely on her.
And Woodix uses this ambiguity perfectly. He doesn't tell her to destroy. He encourages her rage.
Specifically, her anger at the sisters of the convent who wronged her in the past. He tells her that the anger burns like hot coals. It will continue to demand an answer, so answer the anger.
He's subtly guiding her toward embracing the destructive, vengeful side of Fey nature.
Making sure she views power as a tool for justified retaliation.
All while he's maintaining the guise of the benevolent mentor, guiding her towards self-mastery.
It's psychological warfare.
Absolutely. Woodix understands that an immortal power housed in a human body will always be tempted by righteous vengeance. By validating her human anger, he is subtly training the goddess to kill.
And this internal god fight for Sabine's soul just immediately spills into the external political battle that's brewing in Astagnan.
Basson and Sabine return to the capital, Old Koros, and it is utter chaos.
The coup attempt by Grand Cleric Benevedo and Lord Kendon failed spectacularly. King Rian Valver is officially a fugitive, believed to be halfway to Durin.
Though, as we learn, he's actually hiding in the city's royal fireplace, which makes the chaos far more contained than the public realizes.
This city is physically split. The royal army still holds parts of it and Heckelveld Castle, but the streets, they're largely controlled by the Golden Sentinels.
And these forces are led by those notoriously brutal generals known as the Cold Coins.
Malik, Gaze, and Boone. And they're operating with very little central authority. The people are terrified, fractured, and just looking for any sign of legitimate leadership.
And the refugee crisis is immediate and heartbreaking. And it's the first real test of Basson's leadership.
People from the London River Valley arrive at the city gates, and their lands have been decimated by Rian's poison, the environmental fallout from the failed coup.
And they are desperately hoping that immortal Celine can just magically repair their broken world.
But Baston's reaction here is so crucial. He bypasses the spiritual plea for divine intervention and immediately commits to practical help.
Seed, tools, tents for rebuilding unworkable land upriver.
This pragmatic response, focused on mortal logistics rather than magical miracles, it just reinforces his mortal priorities and his suitability for the crown. He is a man who solves problems with statecraft and supplies, not just faith.
And this mortal focus is why their next strategic maneuver is so essential. Baston recognizes that Sabine, as an awakening Fae, needs mortal political protection.
Right. Vale, the king of Fae, had already dismissed Baston as a simple-minded lapdog.
Vale would never allow his goddess daughter to be tied to a mere human, unless that human held undeniable political leverage.
The crown of Astagnan.
Exactly. The strategy is brilliant, but so risky, they have to seize the empty throne in Old Koros.
They enter the city disguised as humble farmers, navigating the occupied streets, meeting secretly with their few remaining allies. Folk the forger, Farah the logistics expert, Kendon the penitent noble.
And have to quickly arrange a coronation.
But the most critical step comes before the official coronation, the strategic marriage.
Baston insists on marrying Sabine immediately to gain royal protection for the Fae girl who was recently called a traitor, a status that led to slurs being painted over her murals back in Durin.
This marriage legitimizes her in the eyes of the people and gives her sovereign immunity, a mortal construct the Fae have to respect, at least at first.
And the ceremony itself is this beautiful moment of levity and heart, right in the middle of this impending war.
It's tiny, it's intimate. It takes place in a clearing that's spontaneously decorated by nature. Sprouting moss serves as a seat, and goldfinches fly in to adjust the embroidery on Baston's shirt.
Even Miss the horse insists on being there, standing as the bridesmaid.
And a forest mouse officiates, a mouse who had previously lived in a village chapel before the war.
That is such a deeply specific, almost absurd detail, but it speaks volumes about where Sabine's heart truly lies.
With raw, untamed nature, not the formalized, corruptible structures of the Red Church.
And the ring is exquisite. A gold circle woven like vines with pale emeralds as leaves, centered by an amethyst violet diamond cut like a blossom.
The exact color of Sabine's eyes when her glamour is down.
And it was a spoil of war acquired by an ancestor, symbolizing that even their union is built on history, conflict, and adaptation.
Baston's justification for this hasty, unusual marriage is twofold. First and foremost, it's for them, for their love, they're shared forever.
But he is very clear that it also serves as a necessary strategic move to ensure her legitimacy and safety against the looming threat of the Fae Court.
He's marrying his queen and his protector at the same time.
And his commitment to statecraft is fully revealed in the details. He knows the mouse efficient means nothing to the powerful Red Church.
So he immediately tasks Folk, their master forger, with creating official marriage documents and paying off a record keeper in a distant village to invent a fictional priest who performed the rite.
It's a marriage of true love, yes, but it's completely wrapped in statecraft, forgery, and deceit. Necessary lies to protect a god.
And we can't overlook the complex Rian dynamic here, which complicates the whole political situation immensely.
Right. Rian, the fugitive king and betrayer, he's captured and locked in this dusty, confined attic cell called the Coffin.
But Baston and Rian, they share this deep, complicated history. Baston admits he's missed him, and he reminisces about being boys conspiring to break into Sorcia Hall's confectionery for cakes.
And despite his betrayal, Rian immediately grasps the true nature of the Fey-mortal conflict better than almost anyone else.
When Baston argues that Solene is different, Rian counters with this harsh dose of cynical reality. He says, Solene is the guardian of nature. But it's also fucking lava. It's earthquakes.
And he emphasizes that humans destroy nature, which hits Baston right where it hurts. It confirms that dark vision Baston saw in the Drayhollen Hall basement murals.
Rian, the selfish king, provides the strategic clarity that Baston, the loving husband, can't see.
And this complexity is vital foreshadowing for what's about to come. So following this successful, if legally, questionable coronation.
Right, where Baston and Sabine are crowned king and queen of Estignon, and Sabine accepts the title Queen Sabine Valvert of Estignon.
The political game just intensifies rapidly. The Fae Court, led by King Vale, they prepare for their grand public entrance to reclaim the attention of the mortal world.
And Vale's plan is pure theatrical propaganda. March across the border with a massive procession of golden claws and acolytes.
Arrive precisely on the blood moon to accept a devoted reception.
He just assumes the mortals are already bending the knee. He also tries to neutralize any threat. He sees Tor, Sabine's fiercely loyal monoceros, as a potential hostage.
And he forbids Sabine from bringing him because he fears her inevitable rebellion.
And now we get to the devastating betrayal that fractures Sabine's trust and brings this entire Fae project crashing down.
Sabine reveals to Baston that she has been meeting Woodix secretly. Remember, Woodix was her tutor, the one who validated her need to choose her identity.
And Woodix gave her a book, The Last Return of the Fae, which he claimed contained the secret to putting the Fae back to sleep. He's suggesting he wants peace to avoid, this cosmological imbalance of mass death.
Baston's fury is so understandable, not just for the secrecy, but for the inherent risk. He yells at her, accusing her of ignoring his mortal human vulnerability.
He says, I accepted the role of your acolyte, fully knowing that not a single acolyte has lived longer than a few months. If anyone bore a risk, it was me.
His anger comes from the fact that she risked herself by trusting a god of death, despite his constant sacrifice for her.
But the truth is much darker than just secrecy. Suri, Baston's most loyal advisor, finds the real second volume of The Last Return of the Fae.
Hidden deep within the castle archives. And this volume, it contains specific, horrifying illustrations rendered in blood-red ink. It was meant only for the Fae's eyes.
Baston immediately realizes that Woodix gave Sabine a false volume, a clever, tailored lie designed to feed her desire for peace.
The true volume isn't history. It isn't a guide to slumber. It's a blueprint for the future. It's a God's damn prophecy.
And the horrifying illustrations, they depict exactly what the Fae plan to do. Violence, thrones forged from rubble, and most chillingly,
Images of a life-size puppet show with human prisoners and dead bodies brought back to their feet, terrorizing a city.
the Fae intend to rule through spectacular, horrifying fear, not through devotion or governance.
So the Fae arrive and hold their procession and games in the royal arena, trying to win public devotion. We see the newly awakened Samar, the god of day, and Thracia, the goddess of night, who are already allied with the court.
Along with Ire and Woodix and a noticeably drunk Artane.
Sabine delivers this heartfelt speech, calling herself a bridge between Astagnan and Volcany, between Fae and human, and the crowd responds with adoration. They throw flowers, offerings. For a moment, they accept their new goddess queen.
But this carefully constructed piece is instantly shattered by Fae arrogance. Artane and Ire hijack the closing ceremony.
Artane, drunkenly slurring, claims they have one final surprise: vengeance for the killed Coin's generals who oppose them.
And Ire, the goddess of virtue, shockingly uses Deathrazor magic to animate the corpses of the defeated generals, Boone, Malik, and Gaze.
The bodies rise from the sand in these strange, jerky movements to perform a grotesque, sickening puppet show for the crowd. And the Fae are laughing. They're openly admitting this is vengeance and brutality.
It's a massive tactical miscalculation. They just overestimate the public's appetite for cruelty, assuming their divine right overrides mortal disgust.
But Rian, the captured king, watching from his makeshift prison, he springs into action. His political instinct is razor sharp.
He knows this spectacle will ruin the Fae's public image faster than any army.
He manages to cut the ropes, controlling the corpses, halting the show, and he instantly blames the brutal display on a drunk Fae who got ahead of himself.
He saves the Fae from their own inept propaganda. It proves that mortal cunning is sometimes sharper than immortal power.
But that uneasy, temporary victory is short-lived. Later that night, Woodix, Ire, and others open a massive, blindingly bright portal at the Valor Bell Tower.
And hordes of resurrected dead bodies flow from the Volkish side into Old Koros, staggering with broken, bloody limbs. This is the moment the blueprint becomes horrifying reality.
Sabine recognizes the immediate danger. She remembers the chained corpse of Benevito. When the dead return, they're hungry for mortal flesh.
It confirms the true nature of Woodix's plan and the Fae blueprint. They aren't seeking governance, they are seeking endless food for the god of death's underrealm.
Sabine confronts Woodix, calling him a traitor and a liar. She unleashes this bolt of silver Fae that Woodix just effortlessly disperses, showing his absolute mastery.
He stands there, unshaken, and admits he used her desire for companionship against her. He confirms Ire planned the entire manipulation.
And then he delivers his chilling absolute motive. Why would I want peace when I can have the world on its knees, endless bodies to fill my underrealm?
That admission is the final confirmation that Sabine's human intuition was correct. She has to fight the entire Fae court, even Woodix, who had given her invaluable knowledge.
She unleashes a wave of uncontrolled brimfire, raw, elemental fire, to incinerate the corpses pouring from the portal. But it's a dangerous, desperate act.
She sets carts and banners ablaze, narrowly avoiding the catastrophic disaster she had feared since the convent. Her power is still wild, and the cost of using it is destruction.
The situation is desperate. I mean, the city is overrun by the undead, Sabine's power is depleted by the brimfire, and the Fae are actively sealing the city gates to trap the mortals with this undead army.
And as Sabine is struggling, Tor, her fiercely loyal Monoceros, the one who was supposed to be Vale's hostage, charges into the fray with this gleeful rage.
But he's too uncontrolled, too wild to fight the focused Fae magic.
Woodix sees his opportunity and delivers the killing blow. Tor is struck by a blast of grave black Fae and tumbles onto the broken stones.
But before dying, Tor does something unprecedented, almost mythical. He gives Sabine his blood, his memories, and his power.
Sabine is the first Fae, the first anything to ever drink Monoceros blood. She experiences Tor's deep, legendary fury and his strength flooding through her veins.
This act is an absolute game-changer in the cosmology of this world. Monoceros blood is sacred, it's legendary.
So Sabine is fueled by Tor's rage and his immortal essence, but she's still physically exhausted from the battle. She needs pure, focused power to win this.
And this leads to the remarkable three-way bond of strength.
Baston and Ryan, standing over the rubble-strewn body of the Monoceros, are the only ones left who can help her. They offer their blood.
Baston insists it won't take all of him, not with both of us. And Rian, despite his fear and his still gashed arm, he kneels and offers his blood.
He chooses sacrifice and the pragmatic survival of his city over self-preservation or his continued cynical opposition.
And this is the moment of apotheosis. Sabine takes Rain's blood first. She ingests his cunning, his cynical strength, his ability to see the danger and act strategically.
Then she takes Baston's blood. His raw, stubborn devotion, his protective love, his unwavering belief in her human heart.
And this mix, combined with Tor's legendary fury and Celine's elemental nature, it just fuels her to an entirely new, synthesized level of power.
Baston watches as she rises, breathing deep, her body now apoding, alive, glorious, unstoppable.
Tor, though physically gone, gallops still through her.
So the ultimate power required to defeat the Fae Court wasn't purely immortal magic.
No, it was a cocktail of the finest, most potent mortal attributes: love, loyalty, cynicism, and sacrifice, all layered onto divine fury.
With this synthesized power, Sabine performs her final, massive, focused act. She climbs the highest heap of rubble, knitting her fingers, her fey lines blazing with a new, controlled brilliance.
She's acting as Selene, the goddess of nature, but she's guided by her human love and the knowledge she gained from Wudix's tutelage.
And she calls the lake beyond the southern gate.
The water rises in this slow, majestic swell and then surges forward in a roaring wall of force.
This blast pours through the entire city gate, crashing into the undead horde, sweeping them all away, dragging their powerless corpses back to the bottom of the lake.
The immediate aftermath is the proof that she chose the role of the healer over the destroyer.
The massive, controlled destruction is immediately followed by immense restoration.
She heals the surrounding valley, sprouting lush grass, restoring the barren lake to clear water, and making leaves burst to life on skeletal, war-torn branches.
It's the duality achieved. She channeled the destructive force of Calasiren's destroyer, but she chose to be the loving, restorative healer for the refugees and animals who had lost their homes.
Her final reckoning is powerful and decisive. She confronts the Fae Court Vale, Ire, Wudix, the others, who are now trapped by her roaring brimfire walls inside Raven Hall.
She tells Wudix with cold confidence that she was so easy to manipulate, but that his very tutelage had made her strong enough to destroy his plans.
She uses Tor's spiraled horn as a symbol, forcing the Fae to recognize the unparalleled power of the monocerous blood flowing through her, a power they cannot understand or counter.
Confronted by a goddess who has fused immortal power with unique, mortal devotion and sacrifice, the court has no choice but to retreat.
Vale, Ire, Artane, Samor, Thracia, and Wudix retreat through a portal back to the Underrealm. But Vale's parting shot is a defiant warning.
Delivered with all the weight of the King of Fae, enjoy your peace, daughter, while you have it.
Alone in the ruined hall, Sabine reaffirms her choice to Baston, cementing her new identity. I have to choose, and I'll choose this every time. Humanity, nature, animals, you.
And with that commitment, her long-awaited physical manifestation occurs, confirming her fusion.
As Baston watches, her human glamour falls away, and from her shoulder blades unfurl delicate yet powerful stone-right wings, the same color as Mist's fur.
Sabine Darrow has fully fused her mortal identity with the power of Selene, cemented by monocerous blood, transforming into the winged lady, the unique queen of Astagyon.
What a profound journey. We've witnessed the complete overthrow of ancient Fae lore, the shift from tombs to this terrifying, intimate bloodline.
Followed by the successful and very dangerous political maneuvering by Basson to claim a throne.
And ultimately, the survival of the entire mortal kingdom hinged on the successful synthesis of three unique, opposing power sources.
The Winged Lady's power is a perfect composite. And I think this is the key takeaway for you, the learner. Wudix's dark tutelage gave her the technical skill. Baston's love and devotion provided the focus and the anchor.
Rian's cynicism offered the strategic clarity needed to outmaneuver the Fae.
And Tor's sacrifice gave her the unique, unparalleled strength to win.
So the ultimate power wasn't just physical strength or magic. It was the ability to synthesize multiple, often opposing sources of knowledge and devotion into a singular applied purpose: protecting the innocent.
She proved that mortal qualities can not only stand against immortal power, but can actually enhance and perfect it. She chose to fight for humanity and nature, aligning herself with the mortal world. But by drinking that monocerous blood, she's now something entirely new. An immortal power guided by a fiercely mortal heart.
And Vale's final thread just lingers.
It does. She achieved the perfect synthesis of power, love, and fury, yes. But the question for you is this. By incorporating the untamed, legendary fury of the Monoceros into the elemental power she already feared, how long until the lava and earthquakes she worried about, the power of Selene the Destroyer rise up and threaten to overwhelm the human heart of Sabine the Queen?
Think about that struggle for control until our next deep dive.